Working?
Yes.
Good evening, everybody. Ooh, it's a loud one. How are you? How is everyone today? Excellent. Great turnout. Thank you for coming today. I'm Hilda Wong-Du. I'm part of the board at the Winchester Historical Society, and I chair the program committee. So we're excited to have tonight's film. It's really the cap off of all of our activities that we've planned for the 175th birthday of Winchester. So it's nice to cap it off with something, a piece of art by Peter. So I met Peter on the board probably like 13, 14 years ago now. And in that time, he's continued, like he always amazed me because both you and Carol, you're always learning something new and with endless energy. So for those of you who do not know Peter, locally, he's been cultural council, as I mentioned, the Historical Society board. He helped get Legacy Winchester part of our scope at the Historical Society. He's been on WinCam's board. Before that, he was a color scientist, which is fascinating to me. He's a photographer, and he's also an award-winning filmmaker. So it's great to have you tonight. Thank you. And I'm going to pass it on to you so you can introduce tonight's film. I will tell you that this weekend we took a walk along Right Lock Farm, and a few years back, Peter took us on a tour of that part of the border. And I'll never forget that. We're like walking through the woods and it's covered in leaves. So it was right around this time, right? And it was super slippery with big hills. And I'm like, oh my God, this is very treacherous. So, but here it is by film, much safer. Thank you.
Yes. Thank you, Hilda. Well, certainly thank you all for coming. As Hilda mentioned, this year marks the 175th anniversary of the founding of Winchester. So, how did we get here? Okay, I mean, we're a town. Why is it called Winchester? Everybody thinks they know, but some of you really know. And what is its shape? So tonight, in hoping to answer some of those questions, you'll be happy to know that you are witnessing the world premiere of The Changing Shapes of Winchester. And thank you. I'll take questions after the film. Dane? Where's our button pusher?
In the late 1840s, the village of South Woburn was growing, both in and politics. It was a stop on the main line of the Boston and Lowell Railroad called Woburn Gates, with a connection to the Woburn Branch Railroad. While it was for a manufacturing town, with tanneries being the major industry, South Woburn was becoming a residential bedroom community for Boston businessmen. This brought changes in both the politics of the South Woburn village residents. Up to the end of the 19th century, South Woburn village residents were members of the Woburn Church, but by 1839 they wanted to form their own church in the village. After several rejections by the Woburn Church, persevered. The South Woburn Congregational Society. The building was started in July and on December 30th. After the creation of Winchester, battles about the allocation of church money fostered the idea of a new town. By 1845, the movers and shakers of South Woburn were quietly discussing breaking away from Woburn. Finally, in 1849, the leaders of South Woburn felt the time was ripe for a break from Woburn. The first public revelation came on November 26, 1849, in a call to the inhabitants of South Woburn for a in the vestry of the Congregational Church. The purpose being to take into consideration the subject of petitioning the legislature for an act of incorporation into a separate town or do anything in relation to same. At the meeting, a committee was formed to investigate the practicality of a new town. Later, the committee reported favorably, and then a series of committees were appointed to draft a petition to the legislature, gather signatures, and name the new town. Choosing a name for the proposed town proved difficult. Several committees put forth a series of names, including Harmony, Linden, Alton, Winthrop, Wyoming, Mystic, Sheffield, South Woburn, Waterville, and Columbus. No name received a majority, although with votes, the town could have been called Columbus. Finally, the name Winchester was added to a list that included Appleton, Winthrop, Avon, Channing, and Waterville. William Parsons Winchester was a prominent Boston meat provisioner and soap manufacturer. Frederick O. Prince, one of the more conspicuous town promoters, the first of 185 signatories on the petition was Ebenezer Parker, and it became known as the Parker Petition. Of a population of about 1,300, the petition represented more than 70% of the legal voters in the village. But the proposed town of Winchester included more than just South Woburn. The piece was part of Medford, the area known today as Sims Corner. Convergence of these three towns occurred at Church by the old Middlesex Canal Bridge. In early February, immediately after submission of the petition on January 19, Medford, fixed, and the property to was given to West Cambridge from Charlestown in 1842 by mutual consent and agreement of all parties. At a Woburn town meeting on February 7, 1850, it was voted that the town is willing that the prayer of the petitioners should be granted on just and equitable terms, said terms to be agreed upon by a committee mutually chosen from each part of the town. The of South Woburn. At that point, forth to select a committee to actively lobby the legislature to prevent the formation of Winchester. After contentious debates and parliamentary movement, it was ruled out of order, and the vote stood as passed. It wasn't until a meeting before the and with this formidable opposition arrayed against Winchester, the petitioners needed to bring their A game to the legislative proceedings to get their new town. To ensure a successful outcome, the petitioners needed to provide the Legislative Committee on Towns some detailed information. The necessity of a new town, the number of inhabitants verified, the wealth of the petitioners and their ability to maintain a town government, the division of the territory so no one be injured, and all maps and proper boundaries. At last, but not least, the petitioners needed to provide witnesses who were well informed and articulate. As part of the process, meats and coffee with no liquors of any kind. After numerous legislative of the legislature, $1,000 in today's money. Although the was speedy, transferred to Woburn. The V Winchester water supply and sewer connection. There was no interest on the part of either town in the 1920 secession effort. 50 years before residents in the 1970s. Not be the end of effort to change the Arlington boundary. In 1963, an Arlington developer wanted to change the boundary around Steep Rock Road. 3 acres. Arlington planning boards, Arlington decided there was no public benefit to change the Arlington-Winchester boundary. And that was the end of any boundary changes with Arlington. Winchester was not immune to the housing explosion after World War II. There was still considerable land in Winchester for housing on both the east and west side hills. In 1950, a group of property town meeting to request Medford, locally referred to as the Old Land. It took 6 years for Medford to agree, largely because they were unable to provide the area services and they had not zoned it. The legislation was signed by the governor on August 10th, and a 27.5 acre shape change. The third and final shape change for Winchester occurred in the decade from 1954 to 1964. In 1954, more importantly, which town building codes governed the construction? And how were the taxes determined? The Thornburg would be in Lexington. To eliminate the taxing and building code confusion, it was agreed by both Lexington town meetings to change the boundary so all of the lots in the subdivision would be within Winchester. The legislation passed beginning on the south side of Hill Street, on the line of Woburn and Stoneham. 160 rods to the southeasterly corner of Woburn. Thence, in precisely the same direction, 237.5 rods. Thence, in a straight line westwardly, crossing the Mystic Pond, about 800 rods, to a point in the boundary line of West Cambridge and Lexington. Sufficient to locate a town on a map. To accurately map every town's boundary within the Commonwealth, Massachusetts created the Topographical Survey Commission in 1880. A consistent set of survey methods. The boundary line changed. Perambulate in an Old English law is to monitor the bounds of a parish or municipality by walking the boundary. In 1650, Massachusetts colony passing a law requiring perambulation of town boundaries. By law, the job of perambulation belongs to the select boards or someone designated by the board. Every 5 years, at least locate the corner. They must record the condition of the markers and if the markers were located. A formal report is given to the town clerk, the select board, with a copy sent to the clerk and the board of the adjacent town. A visual perambulation, sampling some of Winchester's corners, lets us look of chain that protrudes into Medford. In 1850, the corner was a rough granite monument or post. And land regrading in the 1950s caused the granite marker to go subterranean. The only evidence of its existence is the spray-painted letters B&D Town on a manhole cover. Had it survived, the monument would have been located at the intersection of Sargent Road and Alden Lane. Along Winchester's boundary, there were 5 corners where the 3 towns meet. Points. A tri-point. In the middle of the Mystic, corner 3 is another tri-point, the intersection of Arlington, Lexington, corner 3. Adjacent to Lexington's Whipple Hill Conservation Area, corner 3 can be easily by a path at the end of Skyline. About 200 feet, the corner 3 monument can be seen up to the left on a rise. One of Winchester's oldest corner monuments is corner number 4. And West Cambridge. When this corner was installed, the W on the east face this 2 1/2 dates to 1830. The monument can be found as part of a stone wall that runs along the ridge at the back of the farm. Corner 5 is located off Johnson near the Lexington Whipple Hill Conservation Area parking lot. The monument stands in front of an old stone wall located in the back of the house. Or Johnson Road. The number 5 corner Corner 5 monument is accessible via the Whipple Hill Conservation Area on Johnson Road. The farthest northwest corner of Winchester is corner. This is the third tri-point. The corner seen by more people every day is number 8. It can be found in the median of Whole Foods supermarket in the Horn Plaza. The original corner monument was a rough granite post. The present monument is a finely finished granite post with the letter W and the number 4 on the southwesterly face. Corner 11 on Pond Street has seen a lot of change in the last century. The buildings in the background of the 1899 photo were the ice houses of the Boston Ice Company that stood on the south and east shores of Horn. In the Lowell Railroad in Winchester was opened in 1854. In 1907, 6 of the big wooden ice houses burned to the ground. Pond Street, opposite the Eversource electrical substation, corner 11 is marked by a 1.5-foot high granite post. It is readily visible on the left side of Pond Street as you drive towards Horn Pond. Corner 12 is where the town is Main Street. This corner is somewhat unusual as it has both a corner and of the sidewalk, with the corner mark on the street side. Corner 15 is the north and east corner of Winchester. The monument was a granite monument 4 1/3 feet. This is the 5th boundary tri-point where Winchester, Stoneham, and Medford meet. And lies a few feet west, just off a busy path in the fells. As corner monuments go, corner 17 is unique among all the Winchester monuments. Granite post mark is an iron post and 1 3/8 inches square set in ledge. The letter M is cut on the east face, and 6 on the south face. Road trail in the fells. The last 1899 boundary, corner 18, was the southeast corner of Woburn before the creation of Winchester. A slightly pyramid-shaped granite post, 1/4 foot, standing about 100. Well, there you have it, the story of Winchester's changing shape. Winchester is a town created in the years since its creation. Happy 175th, Winchester.
He has it. Okay, before I take questions, I'd like to thank a few folks who made this film possible. First, Sean Broderick. I don't know whether he's here or not. He's from the Winchester Engineering Department, and he always promptly answered my endless questions about town boundaries, corners, and all things surveying and mapping. I connected with him over a decade ago, just curious as to where all these granite posts were, and he has been really helpful. Alan Iden, who is here, who has been my narrator for 3 films. And of course, behind him hiding is Ellen Knight, who's our reference archivist. And Ellen is the keeper of Winchester's history and provides a wealth of knowledge about where to find the interesting little historical bits. Is Bill Swanton here? I didn't see him. There he is. Video assistant extraordinaire who trudged through the fells in search of the monuments and was also responsible for uncovering the missing witness mark in corner 2. We really sweated that one, and there's an article in the Winchester News on that. And of course, WinCam providing their studio. And certainly last but not least, my wife, Carol Keller, who's hiding in front of Alan there, who has been a constant supporter of my filmmaking projects and has a keen eye for what the film needs. Thanks, love. One more item before I'll take questions is if you're interested in scavenge hunting, or maybe I should say, well, anyway, hunting for the monuments, there's a sign-up sheet over there on the table, your name and email address, and I'll make sure I put a copy together. This is what is in the 1899 book, and I've just rearranged it because it's all over. And it's corner by corner, and also when I did this, I measured at the points, the corners I could find. So there's today's latitude and longitude. So if you have a GPS, you can readily find them today. So yeah, if you have a Saturday, nothing to do, you can go walking around the boundary. You can go perambulating. Okay, questions, anyone? Well, there's one, if it's the one I think you're referring to, that if there's 2, the corner itself is in the front yard, okay? However, you may be referring to a line, what's called a limestone. I didn't go into this. There are several limestones visible in town too, and a limestone just marks the boundary line in appropriate places. Some have disappeared, there's a few still left. There's a limestone on the north side of Forest Street, just before the bridge overpass. It's behind the fence. That's a limestone. It's not a corner, it's a limestone.
In your research, also, are these what would they be, every 5-year perambulations, do they still happen?
As far as I know, yes. In fact, the town hasn't done it in, I think Sean told me, in about a decade. Yeah, the engineering department has been doing it in recent times, and they've just been apparently overwhelmed with projects to do this. You know, check out all of them. There's 2 that don't exist anymore, but to check, it's a lot of time to do that.
Peter, very nice film.
Thank you.
Looking at your maps, it seems like the reservoir of water is outside the town boundary. Is that correct?
Most of it is, yes. Our reservoirs are in Stoneham and Medford, yes. Yeah, so maybe we should have done like Woburn said, give us the land.
16 bells, 4 sides, W and S.
I, just an I. It could be 1. Some of these, not many of them, this is on the 1899 survey. They are numbered, like ours are numbered, those are the way it was numbered 1 to 18. Well, if you went to the Medford book, for example, they would have a different sequence. Sometimes the number of the adjacent town sequence is also on the market, only in a few places. That probably is what it is. There are a few that have that, yes. Yes, witness mark. This can, rot your brain, this stuff. The witness mark, there's one key place where there's a witness mark because that's the 1899 corner 2, which is in the middle of the Upper Mystic Lake. So what they did is they put 2 stones as witness marks supposedly on the line, on the shoreline. And that's the one, there's one that we found, and Bill Swanton could tell you about the west witness mark. The east witness mark is up off Mystic Valley Parkway. It's sort of hidden. And in fact, according to the survey, it has been displaced somewhere along the line. It got displaced, so it doesn't really show that, it's not really on the town line. But they put them in where they can't, or where they need to reference where the corner is. Don't know why they did one on Main Street. That's not obvious to me.
There were a number of the corners that seemed to be in a straight line. Or was actually a change in direction at that point, or are they on a straight line? And if they're on a straight line, why did they have a corner there?
See, if you noticed, if you carefully listen to the description, the legislation that created the incorporated town of Winchester, it said on a straight line. Well, when they surveyed, that was 1850. When they actually went and surveyed latitude and longitude, it was not on a straight line. And that's why there's our corners, where they didn't allude to the corners in the original verbal description when they described the outline of the town.
Are there some properties that are in property, so with some taxes?
Oh yeah, in the southeast corner. I don't know, is anybody here who has their kitchen in one town and? Yeah. Yes, Bill just said his corner of his lot is in Arlington. But yes, if you look at some of the assessor's maps, it's a real problem in the southeast corner that they built early. I think they finally, it was good to see that they recognized, a practical problem. And, a decade 15 years later, when they developed the west side of town, that they said, maybe we should move the boundary so it just makes life easier certainly for taxpayers.
So you pay only one property tax bill? No, I haven't.
Joyce.
Yeah, the house I used to live in on Wright Street was the same way. The driveway was in Arlington, but also the water came from Arlington. It was at the top of the hill. And I used to have to write out a check to Arlington. And we had a dispute one year because both towns claimed that they were not supplying water to our house. So I said, well, we need all that money back that we've been paying. And that got them to send out a survey from both towns and figure out what was what.
Peter, unless I missed something, there was no reference to what's the name, Colonel Winchester, and the $5,000 he gave to have Winchester named after him.
3,000.
3,000.
Yes.
So,
Yeah, I dropped the Colonel, but you can show that film again. All about him. We just want to know who the guy was, and that was it.
in the early part of the film, there were a number of, drawings or whatever of people, in legislatures. Were those actually related specifically to this, or was it just took stock films of people in the legislature?
You mean the graphics?
Yeah.
Yeah, I recognize there's when you do this, I try to get at least images that if you can't get images or graphics of the event, I try to get close, at least period-wise. There's a publication that you can find them online, most of them, originally I think it was called Gleason's Pictorial, which started in the late 1840s. And it was the forerunner of, some of you can remember, Life magazine. It was really a forerunner, illustrated. And what they did were all those graphics. And that's where most of them came from. It changed names to Ballew's Pictorial. And it was from stationed in, it was in Boston. And so the good news is they had a lot of local graphics from local areas and so forth. The graphic of when the legislation's passed for the town, that's actually in 1850 that graphic was supposed to be the State House, and so that one was correct. But yes, that's where that's where I get most of my graphics from.
And as I understand it, as occurred in one of your brackets, the entire state of Massachusetts is divided into towns. There's nothing in Massachusetts in town. Is that right?
Cities.
Or cities. Well, municipalities, whatever.
Yeah, I believe so.
We're the town of Winchester and, Cambridge and City.
Yes.
So, I mean, there are two types, but they're all municipalities. There's nothing that's like this country. Every spot in Massachusetts is either.
I don't know. I don't know whether we have plantations anymore. Thank you. Well, it was referred to on some maps. This area is referred to as Waterville. It was never any Waterfields. I'm sorry, Waterfield, and it was never any incorporated municipality at all. It was just an area, and that was what people called it.
That was not one of the proposed names.
Yes, it was. It was. Yeah, that didn't make it. We got Winchester instead, and $3,000. Okay, thank you very much.
Is it on?
There you go.
Hi there. My name's Electra Gavoni. I am the current president of the Winchester Historic Society, and I did just want to take a moment to thank this gentleman for all his hard work and his efforts to see that Winchester history, and particularly in digital form, gets captured and saved and preserved for future generations. So thank you, Peter, for all that you do. And I also want to take a moment to say, we do our best to try and capture Winchester's history in all different facets. In this particular year, we've really focused on the 175 and the people that have made a difference, the architecture, the shape. And so, we love this town and we want to see that it moves forward in the best possible way. And if you're not a member, why the hell aren't you a member? And so this is your official invitation to please join us and bring your talents. Peter, for example, has this wonderful talent as a filmmaker and his contribution, and we'd love to make use of your talent. And so please see me if you're not already a member. I'd love to make you change that story. Just to mark your calendar as well, as our next event is a holiday party. So December 7th at the Sanborn House, you are welcome, 2 o'clock, and we hope to see you there. And so here we are in November, and I do want to take a moment also for, this is a week in which we're honoring our men and women who've served the country, and I do want to respectfully, and their families, all that they sacrificed. And so I do want to take a moment and acknowledge that, and it's important that we remember all those contributions. And so thank you all. We hope you have a wonderful holiday, Thanksgiving, the holiday seasons among us. And thanks so much also for coming tonight. Thanks.